and welcome to Oasis Church International Annual Mental Health Awareness Summit. And partnering with us is the West Palm Beach Alumnae Chapter of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. We have some Delta gems here representing the West Palm Beach Alumnae Chapter. So we welcome you today and invite you to please share this live broadcast with your friends, your family, your neighbors, co-workers, anyone that has youth, parents, mentors, pastors, grandparents. Please share. We have a awesome presenter today, as well as another facilitator that will be sharing this morning, and some youth panelists that's going to be talking about the COVID pandemic and the social distancing and how it has affected them. So I just want to just give a shout out to my pastor, our senior pastor, Cassandra V. Fullwood, for allowing us to move forward this year with this social distancing, the way we're in social distancing, this virtual webinar. So thank you so much, Pastor Cassandra. She does have a heart for mental health as well, and double hearts for youth. So thank you so much. And also, I just wanted to share some statistics with you quickly regarding mental health and the way it has affected our youth over the past year. Youth mental health is actually worsening. 9.7% of youth in the US have severe major depression, compared to 9.2% in last year's data set. And this is presented by the State of Mental Health in America, Mental Health America. So what they are saying is that compared to the rate was highest among youth who identify as more than one race at 12.4%. Even before COVID, the prevalence of mental illness among adults was increasing. In 2017 to 2018, 90% of adults experienced a mental illness, an increase of 1.5 million people over the last year's data set. Suicidal ideation among adults is increasing. There is still unmet need for mental health treatment among youth and adults. 60% of youth with major depression did not receive any mental health treatment in 2017, 2018. Even in states with the greatest access, over 38% are not receiving the mental health services they need. Among youth with severe depression, only 27.3% received consistent treatment. The percentage of adults with mental illness who are uninsured also increased for the first time since the passage of the Affordable Care Act. So nationally, 10.8% are uninsured. So this figure differs dramatically across states like New Jersey. 2.5% of adults in AMI are uninsured, compared to 23% in Wyoming. So we see that this is also a national pandemic following the COVID pandemic. So today I would like to introduce to you all our keynote speaker for today, and her name is Coach Debbie Manigat. Coach Debbie.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. So excited to be here with you to share a little bit more about youth mental health and really focus on how do we support our youth today, our students today, and our families today. A little bit about me: I am a mental health advocate. I'm a freedom coach for women. I attend New Song Church, where I serve as our mental health ministry leader. I also, in terms of my educational background, focus on family therapy. So I received my master's right here in Palm Beach County at Palm Beach Atlantic University, and I'm currently a student at Nova Southeastern University for my doctorate where I have the opportunity to share with you today research from the Substance Mental Health Services Administration. So I am so excited to bring this information to you, along with a little bit of what I call my HU swag. I went to Howard University for my undergraduate degree, so I look forward to bringing the best parts of me so you can find the best parts of you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Coach Debbie. We are so excited to have you. Thank you. And we will hear from Coach Debbie momentarily. Next, we have a licensed mental health counselor. She is awesome as well. And her name is Ezsa Allen. Ezsa, if you would introduce yourself.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me on this panel today. I'm really excited to be here, especially with promoting mental health, especially in our communities, because that's something that we have to kind of normalize, so to speak, because the stigma is so high, again, in our communities. So again, my name is Ezsa Allen, and thank you for having me. I've been a mental health counselor for a little bit over 13 years now. And in being in the field, I've realized that, you know, we weren't targeting the underserved areas as much as we should be, to go to your statistics. So I also created my own agency, Social Age Counseling, that's primarily, not exclusively, but primarily for the minority communities, where I have Black and Brown therapists, so that people, when they want to seek out help, they can have somebody that's relatable to speak to and to get them through that treatment, so to speak. I also created a nonprofit called Mind Over You, which is to promote mental health in the minority communities, which is going out in the communities and giving free events to educating the people on mental health and educating them on the different diagnoses and disorders. I also have a program for our youth, which is a free after-school program that allows them to tap into that self-development, so to speak, and teaching them life skills, self-care, self-love, just again, that self-development, so to speak, so it can kind of correlate into mental health, and teaching them the let's say, if they don't know what they're going through, so to speak. So I'm teaching them depression, anxiety, PTSD. Like you said, the suicidal ideations are going higher. The self-harm in our youth is increasing. The school performance is decreasing, and the grades are decreasing. So I try to teach them, you know, that self-development and helping them to kind of make a better self, so to speak. So again, I'm definitely glad to be here in this platform that you're creating.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Ezsa, for sharing. And we're just going to, at the end, we will also ask our presenters and facilitator, Ezsa, to just share again their information. So you can have their information in case you wanted to reach out to them later. We are going to move on to one of our youth panelists, Josiah Manners. Josiah, if you would just say hello to all of the viewers, and you will hear from our youth panelists soon. Josiah, you want to say hello?
Sure. Hello, everyone. I'm glad to be here and to contribute to this forum.
Yes, thank you so much, Josiah. Josiah, do you want to go ahead and tell your grade?
Sure. So,
You could just tell what grade you're in.
Yeah, I'm a freshman at Alexander W. Dreyfus School of the Arts. A communication arts freshman.
Awesome, awesome. Okay, so we also have Shakari. Shakari, if you would just say hello to the viewers, and you can just tell your grade.
Good afternoon. I'm Shakari, and I'm currently in 9th grade at Oxford Academy.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Chastity, if you could just say hello and tell your grade.
Okay. Hello, I'm Chastity. I am a junior at William T. Dwyer High.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much. So now we are going to turn it over to Coach Debbie, who has a presentation for us this morning for our youth and parents.
Going to check in with everyone to make sure you can see my screen. Are you able to see the presentation?
Yes.
All right, let's get started. So today we're going to talk about teen techniques for mental wellness, thinking of all the youth who are with us and also watching, as well as the parents. We're really going to take a moment to, as I said before, use all the best parts of me being a resident of Palm Beach County, as a mom having children in the school district, and everything that I've learned throughout my educational background in mental health. I look forward to sharing with you some of the new trends and research in mental health, because today is May 1st and we're kicking off Mental Health Awareness Month, hoping that you can gain some insight and learn interventions that lift depression, help you calm anxiety, and ultimately feel empowered. So I hope you learn a lot from today's presentation, but even our panel afterwards with the youth and Ezsa. So what is mental health? This is the question that many have tried to figure out over time, and there's been so many different definitions. The way that I describe it is to think of it as 4 different ways. So sometimes we have situational distress, some of the circumstances that we go through that cause us really to feel depressed or have our anxiety go up high. But I also want you to know that we're all born differently. So we may have a chemical imbalance. And when you recognize that, you have to see a medical professional, your medical doctor, to really understand, how do you get back in balance? Sometimes that's with medication. Sometimes that's with seeing a mental health professional like Ezsa or myself. There's also circumstantial trauma. And all of these are varied throughout your lifetime and is based on your perception of the trauma. So we all go through different things each day. Some things people may realize, oh, that really didn't bother me. For someone else, it could be what they perceive as the end of the world, that their life is over, that they need help. That is the trauma that we want to make sure we talk through today, because we're all going through that type of trauma in the pandemic. When COVID-19 hit and life seemed to revert from being on site to online, how do we process all of the circumstances that came with the pandemic, with COVID? And then lastly, it's biological. So mental health is within us. And what does that mean? There's new science called epigenetics, where, and we're going to get a little very specific medically, when you think about having children and you think about the medical aspects in terms of the sperm and the egg, and they come together to make the baby. Well, if there is unresolved trauma in that person, it is transferred from the sperm and the egg to the child. So what does that mean? For generations, people who weren't able to have access to healthcare, to have access to education, to understand more about their well-being, any unresolved trauma that they passed down for generations is still with us today. That's why it's so important for us to recognize our feelings, our emotions, and take the time for healing and repair. So let's get to the facts, because mental health problems affect everyone. It's a big myth for people to say they've never experienced anything that has made them sad or angry or disappointed. All of these things at varying level can push our mental health in different ways. So mental health is very, very common. Actually, 1 in 5 adults actually experience a mental health issue. 1 in 10 young people experience a period of depression, and 1 in 25 Americans live with a serious mental health concern, such as schizophrenia, bipolar disorder, and suicide. This is what I really want to talk about as well today, because it's the 10th leading cause of death in the United States. It accounts for the loss of more than 41,000 lives each year. That's more than double the number of homicide. Our communities are hurting in silence. We are losing lives. We need to normalize mental health just as we are doing today. So thank you to Lisa. Thank you to Pastor Fullwood for having us and being able to have this forum and this space to normalize mental health. So we talked a little bit earlier about circumstantial trauma, and I wanted to go a little deeper so you could get a different picture on what this could be like. So when you're thinking of trauma, I want you to think of something that is deeply distressing, a disturbing experience, which is why I said it's your perception. And I want you to hold on to owning your voice and your view, because no one can take away what you have experienced or feel as a result of what you have gone through. So we want to make sure we understand that trauma can happen to anyone, and you never want to limit or try to seem like it's not that serious. Take what is going on serious, get the support and help that you need. Some of the different types of trauma include natural disasters. Being in South Florida, we deal with hurricanes every year. So we understand what that trauma could be like to wake up the next day and have flood waters or your house is destroyed. That severely impacts families. Other types of trauma that sometimes go unseen or unheard are sexual abuse or domestic violence, physical abuse. There are so many relationships among young people today that are dealing with physical abuse, verbal abuse. We need to talk about it more so our young ladies and young men understand what real healthy relationships are like and what real love is like. It is not pain and it is not abuse. Other types of trauma include community violence. We've all been a part of that as well. Through social media, we've seen so many unfortunate and horrific deaths, some at the hands of police officers, some at the hands of community members. We have to talk about how this violence and us seeing it causes secondary trauma and impacts us. Unfortunately, in the pandemic, no one could turn a blind eye and say that the realities that we are experiencing, especially within the Black community, are not important and valuable. And now that we know about the trauma that this causes, it is on all of us to take a stand and to do something to help each other, our communities, and especially our youth. So it's about experiences, as I've said earlier, because we thrive in relationship. Responsive relationships and positive experiences actually build brain architecture and promote healthy development. And this starts as early as infancy through school age. So you can make a difference in your younger brothers and sisters' lives. For moms and dads, you don't have to wait until the child turns 1 or 2. You can start as early as a baby, shaping their social and emotional wellness, shaping their mental health. So why does this matter anyway? Well, we may not have access to the video, but I'll explain to you what adverse childhood experiences are. They're stressful or traumatic events, including abuse and neglect, such as witnessing domestic violence, growing up with a family member who may use substances such as alcohol. ACEs are strongly related to the development and prevalence of a wide range of health problems throughout the person's lifespan. So we want to make sure we address those traumas, as I've shared earlier. That way, we can begin healing personally and as a community. Adverse childhood experiences lead to a 20-year less in life expectancy. I don't know about you, but I want to make sure you are here to share your gifts, to share your talents, to share everything that God has created for you. Because without you, you truly are missing from his master plan. So we have to address the physical, emotional, and sexual abuse that is silenced. We have to address the physical and emotional neglect. We have to speak truth to any household dysfunction and show that mental health is normal. It doesn't have to seem as extreme or negative, but that these are different ways and a part of people's lives that they need support. They need people to look at them as what happened, not as if something is wrong with them. So I want you to think about, what have you seen and what have you heard when it concerns ACEs? And then go deeper. Have you caused an adverse childhood experience in someone else's life? We're not just going to point the fingers, we're also going to look at ourselves. We're going to heal totally. I shared a little bit earlier about how adverse childhood experiences leads to early death, but I want you to see the scientific gaps in between. We're still trying to understand how ACEs leads to the social and emotional cognitive impairment that starts those health risk behaviors or leads to various disease and disparities that we have. In doing so thus far, we have found that we really just are reaching the tip of the iceberg. There is so much beneath the water that we need to go deeper and we need to support and understand. And that starts with the generational embodiment of historical trauma, especially in America, when you think of the racial trauma over generations, from Native Americans to enslaved Africans to Asian Americans. All of that has an impact on our well-being personally and as a community. So when we look at those social conditions, and when we look at even our local context, what's going on in West Palm Beach, Wellington, Delray, Palm Beach Gardens, that needs to be shifted in the best interest of our youth, in the best interest of our families, because all of that leads up to that complex trauma and adverse childhood experiences, as I was sharing earlier. So we have to disrupt this process and recognize that people aren't just adopting health risk behaviors that they know is wrong and they're doing it. No, they're trying to cope with everything that they're going through. They're trying to manage that stress. And we have to change the system to really look at what's causing this burden of disease, what's causing the distress, what's causing the criminalization, what's causing the stigma, so that way we can prevent early death. That way we can have the next, as Beyonce says, Black Bill Gates. So I want to share with you a few of those signs and symptoms, so that way you know them and you can also share them with others, or you can recognize them in others. So when you think about depression, you're going to see someone who is exhibiting a decrease in enjoyment, not necessarily spending the same amount of time that they used to with family and friends. Their school performance may decrease, their grades may go down. You may see them even have a strong resistance to attending school. So when I'm saying this is not the normal, you're trying to wake up your kids for school and they're like, oh, I don't want to go to school, Mom, can I stay home? No, this is not only fighting you not to go to school, but then skipping school. And when they're in school, not participating, not doing any of the schoolwork. You may also notice that they begin to have problems with memory, attention, or concentration. Their energy levels may change. Where they used to maybe love going and playing basketball, now they're no longer interested in that. When they used to love cheerleading or going to do coding or robotics, they no longer want to do that. Some of the physical symptoms they may share are stomach aches and headaches, even back aches. They may share feelings of hopelessness, sadness, anxiety. You may start to notice excessive crying. These are things that you don't want to seem as if, oh, okay, this will just go away with time. You want to really take the time to be with them in those moments, to listen to them, and then follow up with the proper professional care. Whether you see a mental health counselor like Ezsa or a family therapist like myself, or even a coach, finding what's that right fit. Do you need a psychiatrist to look at if you have a chemical imbalance and prescribe medicine? There are so many different professionals that you can seek out to get the care that you need. And now I want to share some good news in the face of everything concerning mental health, because there's another side to this. When you think of mental health, it is holistic. It is your body, it is your mind, it is your soul, your spirit. And in that comes resilience. Resilience shows us that even with adverse childhood experiences, there are positive childhood experiences. Those are the good outcomes in the face of adversity, building your mental, physical, and spiritual muscles so you can overcome obstacles and challenges, and know that it's built over time. It's not just the person, it's not all on you, it's the interaction between you and the environment, you and your family, you and your school. You're not in this alone. So I hope you know that there is hope. Resilience is about not repeating. It's about repairing. So I want you to know that your life matters. You can find and build positive relationships. Reach out to your caregivers, your parents, relatives, friends, mentors, teachers, pastors, community leaders. Know that we are here and we care for you. And our goal is to make sure that you are well. So here are 5 tips to help you cope with stress. When you're feeling overwhelmed, when you feel depressed, or you think you are experiencing anxiety, I want you to take some time to check your sleeping habits. Ask yourself, are you getting enough rest at night? When we say get 8 to 10 hours of sleep, it's not just because that would be a good thing, it's because that's what your body needs. Without it, it cannot function well. And I want you to focus on your strengths. Take time to think about, what are you good at? What are those talents and gifts and skills that God has blessed you with that you can share for your own advancement and even for the community's well-being? Think about those things that make you happy. Do you want them to be hobbies? Do you want to build them into your career? How can you incorporate them in your daily life? You get to decide. And of course, always check in with mom and dad. Don't tell them, Coach Debbie said I can do whatever makes me happy. Make sure you check in. And I encourage you all to engage in physical activity. Does this mean you have to be on the football team or you have to join a golf league? No, find what is important to you, whether you're riding your bike around your neighborhood, whether you are using YouTube for some aerobics or yoga. Find something that gets your body moving and stretching and feeling good again. And then finally, talk to someone. Talk to Ezsa, talk to me. Find a counselor that looks like you, that can identify with you, that connects well with you, that you believe is the best for you. And for those who are here who love to help their friends, we want to make sure you know what to do for your fellow peers in need. So these are the 10 warning signs. If you have a friend who may be experiencing this, please be there for them. Share with them this webinar. Share with them what you've learned here. Share with them that you see that things are not the same, that you recognize changes in their mood and behavior, that you want to be there for them if they're feeling overwhelmed. And you also want them to know that you're a student just like them. So while you're being a friend, you are not their doctor, you are not their parent, and encourage them. If they've been feeling sad or withdrawn for over 2 weeks, that they need to talk first and foremost with a parent or their caregiver, grandparent, whoever is taking care of them. Reach out to their school guidance counselor and find a plan that recognizes their strengths and can get them back on the right track. So let's review as we wrap up this afternoon, our team techniques for mental health and wellness. Remembering that childhood trauma is the experience of an event by a child that is very emotionally painful or distressful. So we don't want to dismiss it and we don't want to disregard their feelings and their emotions. The most common causes of childhood trauma include bullying, whether it's online or in person, accidents. Being in South Florida, we drive everywhere on I-95. Sometimes people going 80, 90 miles an hour. So accidents can be very traumatic to people, especially if you lose a loved one through an accident. Other things that could be traumatic are domestic violence in the home, again, death of a loved one, experiencing emotional abuse or neglect, violence in the home, separation from a parent or caregiver, going through divorce. What are the supports that are put in place for your children so they can understand what healthy relationships can be and still are possible? Finally, I want to leave you with this. Unaddressed trauma can have long-term effects on the quality and length of a person's life. Yet there's always good news. One, we serve a good Father. And two, there are things teens can do, like getting a mentor, seeing a counselor, finding safe environments within your school, learning meditation or mindfulness, and building your resiliency. I thank you for having me here today to share a little bit on youth, mental health, and wellness. At this time, I'll pass it back over to our host, Lisa, as we get ready for our discussion. Thank you.
Wow. Awesome, Coach Debbie. That was valuable information. So I hope that our teens and even parents and youth mentors, etc., has gotten some new tools on today to assist them with raising their children in terms of understanding their mental health. Mental health is very important. I was very intrigued myself. I learned some new things. Early deaths, oh my goodness, that is like so important. I'm going to ask if there are any of our youth or anyone that have any questions for us, if you would please put them in the chat. And we would like for Coach Debbie and Ezsa to answer any questions that you may have, any information for Coach Debbie shared that you want to ask her, please do so. And we're going to go back to Q&As at the end. Right now, I want to go to one of our teams. Thank you so much, Coach Debbie. That was awesome. Thank you. I want to go to one of our teens. We're gonna hear from Shakari this morning on how the social distancing has affected her and how you have actually been able to deal with it as a youth.
Hello. With the social distancing, it has been hard not seeing my grandparents every day because they're older. It's a good thing, but also like trying to communicate or interact with others, it can be hard. Earlier in the summer, I had help from Miss Ezsa with, well, I believe it was a therapy kind of thing, but it helped me a lot during the summer. And like during school, even though we are in person now, but having the 6 feet rule, it's kind of hard. My school is pretty like strict on no sharing other things. You can't get close in contact, even if you want to help each other. You gotta text them through the school website or something like that. It can be hard, but I try to make the best out of it by doing things I love, like volleyball and track. So I do try to do things and activities that I enjoy while we go through this.
That is so awesome. The information that you shared with us, and you're so right, Shakari, trying to make sure that, the students are protected, from a health standpoint and medical standpoint. It gets very tough on our youth, and even at home, like you shared, not being able to see your grandparents like you were accustomed to. But I like the fact that you reached out to a therapist, or your mom reached out to a therapist. I'm sure that some of the signs that Coach Debbie talked about, I'm sure that your mom and probably you realized that those signs were manifesting to the point that you needed some help. And that's why we're here today as well, is to let the world know that therapy is okay. There's help out there for those that are dealing with this pandemic and even other mental health illnesses or disorders. I like the fact that you said that you began to get involved in extracurricular activities. Coach Debbie mentioned in exercising. Awesome. Very, very good. Get that adrenaline going, get that serotonin and dopamine, at those levels that they need to be. Thank you so much, Shakari. I really appreciate that. Chatsity, we're going to have you to come up and speak about your experience with the social distancing and pandemic and how it's affected you.
Mine is just like Shakari's. My school, they're very strict on the COVID regulations. Like we have certain we have certain ways to walk in the hallway. We can't just like walk anywhere that we want to go to get to our next class. Also at my school, like for example, lunch, we could be sitting at the table like with my friends, and we still have to wear our mask, even though we're all friends. And even in class, like for help, we have to like not say we can't just like go up to somebody's desk and go to somebody's desk and ask for help. Like we have to like sit there and like wait for the teacher to like do her COVID regulations, and then she'll come help us. And also, what my experience at work is like, our COVID regulations is very strict. Like we can't have our mask off for nothing. Like we have to keep it on 24/7, anything we're doing. And it's just nothing per se aggravating, but it's very hard because the mask, it gets kind of like suffocating. So it's just very hard.
Yeah, and how does that make you feel by, feeling like, you have no other choice but to wear this mask?
I mean, I don't have a problem. I'm not saying I don't have a problem with it, because like I have to follow the rules. But it's like at some point, can we like maybe a 5-minute break without our mask on, just to take them off and breathe, but we don't get no like break, nothing.
Right. Thank you so much, Shakari. I really appreciate that feedback from you as well. Something that you said, that kind of stuck out with me was going up to the teacher's desk and being able to approach your teacher like you were accustomed to doing before COVID. I'm sure, that was very difficult to adjust to, being able to get just that help alone, where it may not seem like so significant, but it is significant, to our youth, because you cannot operate in the same manner that you were so used to operating in. So I really, really appreciate that, Chat City. So now we're going to have Josiah. Josiah, if you could please share with us your experience with the social distancing and this pandemic and how it's affected you as a youth.
So for me, I'm a distance learner, so I'm learning from home. So the only time that I've really been on campus was for testing. Prime example, last week. And one of the things that I noticed is even being in school, you still have to follow those same guidelines as if you were out. So there's so many different things that you have to get used to. And I think one of the most important things that you mentioned is that you can't really you can't try to do normal because this is a time where you have to get recalibrated with what's going on. So that's definitely been, I wouldn't say much of an issue, but it's definitely been something to get used to. Other than that, the pandemic has really opened my eyes to see a lot of different things. And I appreciate, I know that not everyone has had the same experience or maybe not even the same testimony of saying that, but I think that through this time, along with everything that's going on, along with what we see from a health standpoint, from a social standpoint, it's just really opened my eyes to see what's going on around me. So, yeah.
Very good, Josiah. So thank you so much. I think you said something that was very important. I wanted to ask you a question. We can also bring Josiah back on screen. Josiah said that he is actually pretty much almost 100% virtual. So how does that make you feel, not being able to really go to the school, or it may be by choice? How has that affected you with being pretty much a virtual learner?
So it was by choice. I mean, I had the option to go to school. I think part of it, I was like, well, I don't want to go back. I think, like, also when I spoke to some of my classmates or fellow students that I knew who were in the building, I know they were saying, well, you still have to wear your mask. But I think one of the big things is the human interaction that we get used to from being in school. So I think that's been the biggest thing that has affected me in terms of being a distance learner. So I'm trying to get back out there, and speak and be more social.
Very good. So how has it affected you? How has it made you feel? Do you feel a sense of loneliness?
No, I would say, I'm trying to think of the words to describe it. I mean, I felt pretty much okay. There are some moments where it's like, oh, well, I wish I could be there, which I'm sure some of us have had those moments. But overall, I think I've felt pretty good about it.
Okay, very good. Thank you so much, Josiah. And I think that's important to remain positive, for our youth. If I can say anything, I would say that, to look at it from a positive standpoint in terms of, I heard a lot, the youth saying that, they are very strict. And, the thing about it, I work in healthcare. So I do understand that strict is necessary, where our youth may not understand, but it is really to, and even Chastity's employer, it is really to protect you. But again, you all are young, and, young people are, pretty much like free. When I think about, the youth, I think about free. You don't have the cares in this world that, a lot of parents have to, worry about. Some of the things that our parents, have to think about and worry about, we don't share with our children because we don't want to put that burden on them. But now a burden has literally been placed on you, in a sense that you have to follow these strict guidelines. So do we have any questions for our youth before we have Ezsa to come and say something as well? So in the chat, Coach Debbie says, every child is experiencing the pandemic differently. Each circumstance is unique. And she is thanking all of you all for sharing your view and experiences. That is so true. So do we have any questions for Coach Debbie or even Ezsa? I'll tell you what, let's hear from Ezsa right quick. And maybe, that will prompt some, follow-up questions. So Ezsa.
Thank you. I agree with, and again, all the kids' input is very interesting to hear, because, like, Coach Debbie said, everyone is experiencing it differently. I like to tell my children to understand that we are living in a new time to where things are different. So it's almost, so to speak, like that new normal that we have to get used to, and in each household is different too, because if you're a virtual student, you're being at home all the time, whereas you would be out being social with your friends at school, but now you don't have that interaction. And even being in school, it's not really that different being in school, because you're still confined to a desk with your computer and the teacher's still teaching virtually. So that social component is taken out of our lives right now, and it's so needed. And I think we're realizing that right now, how much that is needed. You know, we like to think of our physical all the time, but we don't think of our mental aspect to it and how much we need that human interaction. Social media alone has taken away half of that interaction from people. Like, we don't greet people anymore. We don't have that face-to-face as we used to have. Now with the pandemic, it's stretched that a little further, so to speak, to saying that, you know, we're getting used to be by ourselves and alone, and we're not meant to be like that. You know, we're meant to have that human interaction, that social engagement, and it's really, really tough for children right now. And I don't think a lot of parents and adults, because we are going through our own issues and we're going through our own way of dealing with it ourselves, we kind of think as children as just, you know, we don't think of what they're going through as important as it is to them, because we have our own issues we're going through. And children, they don't think like in the future, they think now, in the now, and like maybe tomorrow, you know. So it's just, I'm glad for, and I was really excited to see Shakari, because I didn't know you were on the panel, but I'm really glad to see children getting engaged and learning and wanting to understand and educate themselves more, because the more you educate yourself and understand what's going on, then you can prepare yourself for whatever situation that you have moving forward. As always, whether it be adults or children, to anyone watching this, I always ask my clients or students to ask yourself, what is it that you're seeking? What is it that you want for your goal to be? You know, what is your weaknesses right now? What is it that, you know, you're struggling with right now, and put that at the forefront. And then you figure out all these skills and techniques and components on how to get into that goal. And if anything's offlining with that goal, then, you know, you try not to engage in anything that's not going to be the betterment for what your success is, for what your goals are. So for the kids on here, the questions and the insight is really good to hear from their mouth, so to speak, because again, I don't think we tap into their feelings and what they're going through often.
Very good, Ezsa. Thank you so much for sharing that. And that is so true, you know, tapping into, you know, our young people and what they are going through, writing down your goals. What is it that you want to accomplish, you know, from a mental health standpoint? What is your weakness? That is so powerful, because, you know, so often when you talk about mental health, a lot of people put on a mask, and I'm one big advocate of mental health. You put on a mask and you want everyone to think that you have it okay. So in order, especially for our young people, I would like to tell you now, if there are some issues that you need to deal with them now. Don't be embarrassed. Nobody has to know. Your friends does not have to know. However, like Coach Debbie mentioned earlier, if you have a friend that is struggling, you want to, you know, say to your friend, it's okay to reach out for help. Because what happens when you get older and become an adult, and you become an employee, you get into a relationship, and, you know, whether it's a male and female relationship or a friendship relationship, those issues or experiences that you have not dealt with, they are going to surface one day in your life. They're going to surface. And I can just say it, you know, by, you know, my own testimony. So you want to deal with it and deal with it early as possible. I wanted to ask a question to our therapists about the age. Like, you know, does it matter about the age? And the reason I'm going to say this is because I have grandchildren, and my grandchild that I'm going to talk about was 3 years old when he did this. He actually packed his bags. Actually, both of them did. There were 3 and 4. They packed their bags and they told their mom that they were leaving home. So she was like, okay, So, they went outside and, she's watching them and they're just standing looking. Well, actually, one was smart enough to stay inside. The other one goes to the sidewalk and she's just looking at him. And he's looking, back and forth. And he goes back in and he was just like, Ma, I forgot this. And he'll come back and he said, Ma, I forgot that. And she was just like, I really don't think that you're, ready to like go out there and be on your own. So he was just like, well, Ma, I just want to go to the park. And what I told her, I said, you have actually a 3-year-old that is pretty much crying out because this was when they had not opened up the parks again and they were so accustomed to going to the park. So I just wanted to kind of talk about just the ages and how it affects our youth and mental health. So either one of you all can take that, Coach Debbie, Ezsa, or both can take it.
Yes, we'll work together on this one. So I love that story. I know the kids are probably like, well, it's serious, but it's so cute to hear and understanding where they were because of all of the stress that really overnight everyone had to shift and begin, as Ezsa said, this new normal. So to shed some light in terms of brain development, there is a reason why you cannot rent a car until age 25. And that is because your prefrontal cortex is not completely developed. The prefrontal cortex is in the front of your brain, and that is your reasoning center. So that is how you are able to, in those quick moments when you're driving in the car on I-95 and you have to move out of the way before another car hits you, they believe by 25, you should be able to manage that and handle that. So imagine a 3-year-old thinking through, I want to get to the park. How do I do that? Mom won't take me. I'm going to leave. I'm just going to go on my own. So understanding that is so important to meet our youth, our children, where they are. Give them time to express themselves, but also think through what is it that I'm trying to obtain, and then doing your part as parent to set the boundaries, set the limits, let them know that this is what is appropriate, this is what is allowed according to our family culture or our family values, and letting them feel whole and secure, getting a better and the big picture of what they may be experiencing in that moment. Ezsa, what do you think?
Definitely. I definitely do 100%. And to piggyback what you're saying too, I would, and I get this question asked from parents all the time, like when is the right time to say something to kids or the age appropriateness? And the thing is, you always want to communicate with your children, no matter what age, because that's teaching them proper and healthy communication. I want to piggyback off Coach and add to that too, that tapping into having him to learn how to express his feelings, even at that age, right? They're 3. And yes, our brain fully develops at 25, but we're learning through each stages and phases of life. And 3 years, they come in this world born like they've been here before, right? So even at 3, I would say teach him how to communicate his feelings. He wanted to go to the park, but he didn't know how to express to mom and dad because he kept on probably hearing, no, we can't. And he doesn't understand what pandemic is. He doesn't understand what, the virus is. He's only hearing this, but he has nothing to kind of attach it to. His life is still at home and, things are going on, but he can't comprehend what's going on in the outside world. All he knows is now my life as I know it, which is part playing, eating, whatever. And a big part of what I love to do has stopped. So now I'm upset. And what can I do now in my own, 3-year-old mind do to get there? And clearly he didn't think it out all the way, but that's a prime opportunity for mom to express to him, tell me how you're feeling from the beginning. Tell me how you're feeling when you wanted to go to the park and I kept on saying no. And you just, because there's a parent and child relationship factor and that respect factor. Yes, respect, but parents should always want that respect both ways, but also listening to their child's feeling at the end of the day. So, again, I agree with Coach that it's a wonderful story to hear, because children, they say the darndest thing, they do the darndest thing, but take every opportunity as a learning and teaching method of how to express their feelings a little better and communicate a little bit to their age appropriately.
I absolutely love that feedback. Thank you so much. Communication is definitely key. And, it makes me think about like when I was coming up, we could not be very verbal, in my home. It was, you do what I say, and that is just it. And if you have something to say back, then pap, but we're living in a different time now, and our youth have many questions. And I would like to admonish parents, to be open, to your children, and allow them to have a voice and communicate, because you don't want to stifle them now, because when they get older, they would have a problem with communicating. Me being a human resource professional, I do see people that have a problem with communicating, even on the job. Outside of the different communication barriers, that they have, from cultural standpoint. So outside of that, you have people that don't know how to communicate properly, and we don't want that of our youth. So thank you so much, allowing them to have that voice. So one thing that kind of stuck out with me, you all are really teaching me something today, and I love mental health. So your prefrontal cortex not being completely, and this is the reasoning center, so not being completely developed until the age of 25. So most of our youth that I know, gyms and youth with OCI, are under the age of 25. So what would you say to these youth that now are having to deal with this our new norm, or we like to say it's not even a new norm. This is just pretty much a way of life right now that they are experiencing, because technically their brains are not fully developed either. They're not 3 years old, but they're not 25 years old either. So what would you say to them, in terms of their reasoning? I have a twofold question. My next question is, they say that men develop slower than women, so, or male versus female, so what do you have to say about that as well? Ezsa.
Okay. I read somewhere that the lining of a male's brain and the functioning is thinner than a woman's brain. And it's due to the fact that woman is supposed to multitask more than, and that's why we have the ability to multitask more when it comes to that biological factor. But to answer your first question with the children, yes, so they're not 3 and they're not 25 either. However, you do want to meet them where they are. And again, always tapping into their feelings. We might know what the answers are. We might know whatever the question may be, but we have to meet them where they are and help them get to where they want to go is key. Because a lot of times as parents, we try to impose our views, impose our experiences on these children, and say, do what I say, not as, just telling them what to do, but that's not how human functioning works. They are their own person, and they're curious, and rightfully so. They have to kind of experience and manifest the world through their eyes. Even though we're parents and we want the best for them, we still have to let them, so to speak, live with guided though. You know what I'm saying? You're going to guide them in the right way. Still, there's still boundaries, there's still guidance. But they still, especially at that age in particularly, they're finding themselves. They're in that age range to where they're figuring out who they are, who they'll become, so to speak. And at that point in time, they definitely need to experience life on their own with a little bit of, or the opposite, give them a little bit of rope to experience life on their own. And kind of, again, from their point of view with that guidance and boundaries, and always answering the questions to their feelings and their emotions so that they can properly learn how to assess and then develop those skills and techniques on healthy ways of being, whether it be for communicate, whatever it may be. And if they don't learn how to do that effectively, it goes back to what you were saying, Lisa, the adults who manifest things now in anger. They can't get their way, so they're angry, or they just act. Grown people act in a certain way. That's because they weren't taught as a young or youth how to properly and healthy way to deal with their emotions and feelings.
That is so good, so true, Ezsa. Debbie, Coach Debbie, let me just say this, manifest the world with their eyes. Catch that, parents. Manifest the world with their eyes. Give them some rope, but also give them guidance and boundaries. Allow our youth to communicate. Thank you so much, Ezsa. Coach Debbie, sure, yes.
So I love this discussion because I feel like we continue to go deeper into the entire family system. We're supporting youth, we're supporting parents, and parents, we honor you. We want you to know you are the expert on your children, you are the experts on your family. When you see a counselor maybe once a week, they don't have that 365 view. So we want to affirm that what you pour into your children is so important. So when you're teaching them, when you're guiding them, you are shaping them, you are molding them. So thinking through our youth who are here, who may be teenagers, most of them, it seems like we're in high school, getting their perspective and their voice on where they are, knowing that their generation is very different from ours. We're all in this online space, but they have been born into it, and that is their normal. So how do we connect with them in ways that we continue to instill our values, our faith, our culture, and we also understand what they're seeing, what they're learning, so that we can help them discern what is the right way according to your family's faith and what your family really values. In terms of the male and female question, it's really interesting because, God truly created us unique and different, even to the core of our chromosomes. And when you're thinking through how to connect with males or how to connect with females, I take it to the word in that read Ephesians 5 and learn about the Ephesians 5 man. And also know that everything the Bible encourages women to be, God says for the male is equal. So it's not just about a list of things and commands that a woman or a girl must grow up to do, but it's also knowing that she is equal to you. She is just as important in God's eyes. And the same ways that he would like the goodness, the kindness, the love, the joy to be given to a male is the same for the female. So I hope that our brothers, our fathers, our grandfathers on here can recognize that and instill that in the young men growing up today, knowing that being the head and being a leader is not without recognizing those who are supporting you, who are following you, and actually equal to you.
That is good. Very good. So that dispels like a lot of myths out there that, men are superior to women. I do believe that the man, is the head of a home. And we do want to teach, our young people that, but at the same time, women should not feel that, because, God has, set that man as, the head of the home, and, teaching our young people, our young men to be the priests, of, their home, that, women are not just as equal in God's eyesight and very powerful beings as well. So when it comes down to your emotions, one thing I would like to say about mental health does not discriminate. I'm gonna say that again. Mental health does not discriminate. It doesn't matter whether you're male, female, Black, white, Asian, or Latino, what country you were born in, whether you're fat, skinny, tall, short. It does not matter. It does not discriminate. So we have to kind of reach out our arms around everyone, and we're here to help everyone, on today. It's so important. I want to just look at the chat. I have Coach Debbie saying that she would love to hear the youth share the impact on racism during this pandemic and how did they manage or cope. Was it like in their generation? What is it like in your generation to see it, and how does it impact you? So we're going to talk very briefly. Before we say that, let me just say this. We will be coming back here. We are just getting a date together. We will be coming back here either at the end of the month or in June to discuss the effects of just the police brutality and the things that are going on in our societies now, and how it is affecting the mental health of our youth, young men, fathers, etc. So if we do not get a chance to go deep into that today, we're going to come back and we're going to talk about that. So I like to hear from our youth on what you've heard, so far on what Coach Debbie and Ezsa, have talked about, the brain development, communication, etc. How do you feel about that? Let's start with Josiah. And Josiah, I would love to find out how this like the racism and police brutality and all of that is affecting you as a young man, since you're our male that's representing on today. I would love to hear that from you.
I think one of the biggest things with racism, and not just over the past year, but just in general, but more specifically, like I said, over the past year, it has truly opened my eyes to see things that I may have not paid attention to before. Being a Black male in today's society, there's a lot of stigmas, there's a lot of stereotypes that are attached to being a Black male. And I think one of the biggest things through conversations, not only with my mother, but through those who have an influence on me, but also who I talk to. One of the biggest things is not compromising who you are, and being you and being confident in who you are, regardless of what people think of you. And I think that's truly what has been the eye-opener for me, to not live in fear, but to keep your eyes looking straight ahead, being aware of your surroundings.
Very good. Very, very good. And I'm so glad you said that about not living in fear, because I was going to have a follow-up question, like, do you, have fearful moments, or how do you feel, about what's going on in terms of like fear versus non-fear. So I love that, not compromising who you are, being you, but also being aware of your surroundings. That is very, very good. And just being careful, and also submit to the authority. It's so important, and it's proven that, if you are approached, by like a police officer, submit immediately. Don't fight, against, the authority, just, completely submit. So somebody said, all right, young man, thank you. You're incredible. Awesome. Awesome. So Chastity, so what are your feelings about everything that you've heard today? From our speakers, communication, brain development, and then if you want to deal with them, because some of you all may have brothers, you may not have any, children right now, but you may have brothers and loved ones as well. So how do you feel?
I feel good. I like everything. But about the brain development, I can what happened? Oh, I can really say that when they say the brain doesn't develop until 25, I can believe it's true, because I know that me, like, when I was younger, I was a little, not saying like I wasn't more mature than what I am today, but I know that I still have a lot of more growing to do as I get older. And I also about the mental health. My school, I know my school, we do the mental health every Wednesday and Thursday. So yeah, we learn more. We learn about mental health every week at our school. And I'm not saying I have a therapist at my school, but I have someone who I trust, because I'm not saying she's African American, so I go to her when I need to talk, or like, you know, about my grades, or if something's going on in school.
Awesome, awesome, very good. Having that outlet, someone to go to, great, in school. So that's absolutely correct in Palm Beach County, my understanding, and correct me if I'm wrong, or if you want to add to it, Coach Debbie East. In Palm Beach County, they have really moved towards mental health in the schools, and have put counselors in the schools. And if I'm not mistaken, they're almost in every school now, to be there for our youth, especially after this pandemic. I do want to, before we get to Sha'Carri, I do want to encourage our youth that are online to ask some questions. We do have youth that are participating, and every youth that are participating on today, you will receive 8 hours of community service. We do have bonus hours for those youth that were so bold to volunteer to participate on the panel, and they have done a great job. You all give it up for our youth on the panel. Woo-hoo! They have done such an awesome job. So type any questions that you have in the chat. No judgment at all. We are here as a family. You know, I still believe that it takes a village to raise a child. I was a teen mom. I was 19 years old when I had my first child, and it wasn't easy. I pretty much struggled a lot, like on my own, like raising my children. I didn't have a lot of people that I could go to. I did have a mentor in my life that I could really, I feel that God put her in my life, because, you know, I had such a traumatic childhood experience as well. So I did have someone that I could go to, you know, as I got, you know, a little older. I was in and out, you know, with communication with her, but it's so important that you have someone that you could go to. So let's go to Sha'Carri. Sha'Carri, let's hear from you, dear.
I really enjoyed today's summit. I learned about communication, like not to hold everything in, and actually like find someone to find an outlet, because that's what I did struggle with a couple of years back, and even now, that's why I have a therapist to talk to, because I don't like to talk to my mom sometimes, or I feel like I'm being judged by my family. So I found an outlet who can relate to what I'm going through. So yeah, I learned how to not hold everything in, because I learned that's not good and it's not healthy.
Very good. Awesome. If we could leave one thing with you, we have definitely reached our goal on today, and that's what we want to do. We want to leave some valuable information and tools for you. Definitely reach out to someone. And, you know, I just, you know, listening to Sha'Carri just now, she was like, you know, going to your parents, you know, it seems like, you know, you kind of feel judged. And I think that, you know, when children say that, they don't really mean like judge in a bad way. It's just that, you know, parents, you know, we're going to share everything we feel. We're going to put it out on the table. Well, this is what I'm seeing. This is what I'm hearing. This is what you should do, because we're a parent. We love you. You know, we're so concerned about your future and you, till sometimes we kind of do insert our emotions in a little bit extra than what we probably need to. So that's why I love you, like family therapists, and you know, being able to go and talk to, you know, the therapist as a parent as well. Parents, you know, get involved, you know, even with the therapist. And I love the fact that we have African-American parents that are sending their children to therapy. Kudos to you. Yes. So I have been, thank you for your vulnerability and honesty, beautiful young queens. Thank you, thank you. Okay, yes, that is from Coach Debbie. Do we have any other questions before we wrap it up? I said it would be from 1 to 2:15, and I like to be a woman of my word. This has been such an awesome discussion on today. It just makes me want to have more. I see you out there, Christeria. Thank you so much for joining. So, and all of the young people that are on there, that are on Facebook, your parents, kudos again to my pastor for allowing us to even, have this forum. I am the mental health coordinator at Oasis Church International, West Palm Beach. If you, want information, more information, or you want to go back and view this, we are on Facebook. Our website is oasischurchintl.org. We're also viewing this or recording this on YouTube. We're live right now on YouTube as well. I see there's some mentors that's out there that's in the Zoom on today. So if there won't be any more questions, I will allow Coach Debbie and Ezsa to give their information again. It is in the chat, so whoever is on Zoom, it is also in the chat. But Coach Debbie, if you can just come back, if you want to just say some final words. Do we have any more final words from our youth panelists, or are you all good? If you all are good, give me thumbs up. Okay, all right. Christeria, I know Christeria actually was and I'm so sorry, she was a backup if we needed someone on today. Christeria, did you want to share anything on today, my dear?
I felt like everybody did well today. Like I like how everybody was I like all the speakers that were going on today. And how they were trying to tell us to communicate more with other people, and if you need a therapist or something like that, to somebody to talk to, and to be more open-minded with other people, and to not hold everything in so much, to be more open.
Excellent. And how do you feel that this pandemic has affected you, good or bad?
It has affected me not that much, but only a little bit, because I haven't seen some of my cousins from different states in a long time. So we haven't FaceTiming each other sometimes, but mostly not all the time. I just miss them. And some of the kids in my school, because I'm doing virtual, so I'm not actually going back to school. The only time I'm going back to school is when we're doing testing. And some of my friends at my school, they're missing me to go back to school with them.
Yeah, I bet. So you are doing, do you have any extracurricular activities or any type of tools that you have used to kind of help you during this pandemic that you would like to share?
Well, I have been doing band after school on Tuesdays and Thursdays, so that have been really helping me to distance myself.
Okay, awesome. So she has band that she's been doing, so very good. So that way you can kind of get with some people, as well. And I tell you all, I mean, for those that were not into social media before, I mean, you see more and more people on social media now, and at least that is some form of connection that we can have. So thank you so much, Christeria. I really appreciate it. And I forgot that you were my backup person, so I am going to give you credit for coming on and speaking. So thank you so much, my dear. Thank you to the Delta Gems. Thank you to our president, Sharon Wood, who has allowed, and the parents who have allowed our Delta Gems to come on as well. So I'm going to leave it to Coach Debbie and Ezsa to just give their contact information. We're going to close. Again, we will be back in about a month. Thank you all viewers for viewing on today. Coach Debbie?
Sure. Thank you so much, Lisa and Pastor Woolwood. I'm so grateful to have been here this afternoon with all of you in the Oasis Church family, as well as the Delta Gems. Hearing your feedback and your insight and your voices is so valuable and so helpful. I hope that everything that we've shared today also inspires you to see that you have everything within, you have everything inside. You're beautifully and wonderfully made. You can find more from Coach Debbie at dmempowers.com. I'm also on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at dmempowers. Thank you so much again.
Thank you, Coach Debbie. Wonderful job, wonderful presentation. Thank you. Coach Ezsa.
Sorry, I could take me off mute. As well, I would love to thank Pastor Lisa. Thank you for having me, Coach, for sitting side by you in this discussion. It's really, really good to hear that village. We're being part of that village by doing this awareness for not only our parents but our students. I do want to leave off a couple of things. One with Josiah, just to understand that fear is a natural emotion. Right? The way that it's presented to you is unnatural. So always learn just to take everything in life and just to kind of shift it into a positive way, even though it comes to you in an unnormal way to you. But don't ever let anyone make you feel less than or undervalued. Know who you are and believe in who you are first and foremost, and walk into this world with your head held up high, knowing that you are a young king despite what the world says to you. Miss Cassidy, I love the fact that you found someone in the school. And, sometimes it doesn't always have to be, a professional, but that's someone who's giving you positive advice and making you feel heard, so to speak. That's a great tool to have. So definitely utilize her as much as you can, because, we always need that positive feedback from some people when we can't get it at home. Shakari, I absolutely love the fact that I do see some progress in you, because yes, communication is something that you struggled from the beginning, and just you being on here is progress, and keep it up. Don't keep things in. The more you keep things in, you're keeping it in your subconscious and you're keeping it into your body. And we need to release those energies out of our body in a healthy manner, because if we don't keep it in, that's how we develop the anxiety, the depression, and everything else that comes along. So finding someone, and I heard that you now have a therapist, keep that going. Always keep that going to where you have someone that you can, just like we have a doctor. When we're sick, we go see a doctor. Have that same concept, but when we're not feeling right mentally, we just go see a therapist or get that medication management that we need. To my parents as well, like Coach said, you are the heroes. You are the number one in your child's life. But as always, they don't come with instruction manuals. So there's always something that we can tweak as parents into building that bond, so to speak, with your child and a better relationship with them, so that you can help them grow into the male or female that they will become in this world. At school, I wanted to touch to your point, Coach Lisa, there is therapists at the schools too. They're called co-located therapists at every school. So any child who feel the need that they want to speak out to someone else outside from a regular guidance counselor, just go to your guidance counselor and ask to speak to your co-located therapist at the schools. And as for me, you can find me on Instagram at officially Ezsa on Instagram or Facebook, or at www.socialagecounseling.com for counseling services, or mindoveryou.org for just mental health education, events that I'm having, and to know which schools I'm into, giving the free after school program for our kids. And I'm starting something also to providing scholarships for people who can't afford therapy under this nonprofit.
Awesome. So awesome. Do you all hear that? Please utilize Coach Debbie, utilize Ezsa Allen, utilize that scholarship. Please go to their websites. Families get involved in family therapy. Thank you again to all of the Facebook viewers, most of all to our coaches on today and our panelists. and the parents that allowed them to speak on today, our youth that are tuned in on our Zoom, and to my pastor, my senior pastor, Cassandra V. Fullwood. You all have a blessed day. Thank you.